Hey everybody, welcome back to the Friday Night Prepper Pre-Party Show. I appreciate you all coming to join us on your Friday. We're going to give people a couple minutes to get through bell notifications and ads and whatnot. While we're doing that, let me go through a couple reminders for our channel rules. As always, no racism, no sexism here. Be kind to the moderators and my guest, please. If you want to throw shade, you can throw it at me. But I always ask that if you're going to say something like, I got a comment today about how stupid one of my videos was, at least articulate to me why you think it's stupid. That's not constructive, but if you give me feedback like, hey, I didn't like this topic, or this is too goofy, or whatever, that is helpful for me. So you're welcome to criticize, but I appreciate if you articulate why. That being said, if you enjoyed tonight's video, please give a thumbs up, consider sharing it out to your friends, and if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. As always, I have some discount codes for you in the description down below. Please check that out. And let me say hi to chat real quick, and then I'm going to go ahead and introduce my guest here today. Looks like we have some early people here today. Thank you, Scott, Prepper for the Ages, Lazarus Long, Rural 2IC. Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all. And hopefully we'll get some more people popping in as these notifications go out. I'm going to go ahead and get into the intro here. If you have questions at any point during tonight, just kind of write them down, save them till near the end. I am going to give a little bit of time near the end. And when you do throw your questions up, try to put them in all caps. It just helps me to catch them as chat gets rolling and it starts scrolling, makes it a little bit easier for me to catch. So my guest tonight is Patrick Diedrich, senior editor for Recoil Off-Grid magazine, former Army Cavalry Scout. He served our nation in the Middle East, providing urban reconnaissance, security, and counterterrorism operations. He was also stationed in Louisiana during Hurricane Katrina, providing humanitarian relief. He was also a former training officer for Superior Search and Rescue. He has master's degrees in both forestry and business administration. He's an author and has been published in numerous publications, including, of course, Recoil Off-Grid, Backwoods Survival Guide, and Gun Digest. And he is a survival instructor. Did I get that all right, Patrick?
That sounds accurate.
All right. That's a pretty awesome resume, man. You have done and you do quite a lot.
Yeah, it's life is quite an interesting ride if you lean into some of the challenges. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get started with my first question.
Okay, let's do it.
Which is, was there a time either in the military or on some kind of survival adventure where you screwed up really bad but you got lucky?
Yeah, there was actually a time in the military. I was overseas. This was my second deployment to Iraq. And at the time, they had been using a lot of IEDs, improvised explosive devices, on the sides of the roads. And one type of IED in particular was especially nasty. They called it an IFP, EFP, explosively formed projectile. And essentially what that was is they would take a copper disc, turn it into a cone, invert it, and then behind the cone, they would pack it with explosive. So when it exploded, the cone would superheat, kind of like bulge out the other way, and it could cut through anything. It could cut through armor like butter. It was one of it was very dangerous. They use it in modern munitions, like anti-tank type of stuff, but they were making it in an improvised fashion there on the side of the road. So you drive by, something would trigger it, and then all of a sudden this superheated slug of copper would be going through your vehicle, right? Pretty nasty stuff.
Yeah.
And one time we found one, right? It was detected early. We didn't drive past it or anything. Well, I say we, another element from our unit discovered it. So they had kind of blocked off the road, and we were waiting for EOD to come and disarm it, right? And our element arrived there, and we were talking with the people like, where is it? Oh, it's over there. They were pointing to it, right? And okay, that's got to be, that pile of garbage is what they were hiding it in or whatever. And I was a team leader at the time, and I wanted to link up with the unit that was blocking from the other direction. So, basically the standard is cut the traffic off so nobody can drive past it, and then EOD can come in and clear it, and then it's all good to go. Well, we didn't, for some reason, radio wasn't working. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to walk up to the closest element on our side and try to communicate with the other side, right? So we could figure this all out. And they're like, sure, they're right over there. Well, I walked right over there and I linked up with them, and they looked at me and they're like, what are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, you walked right past what we were trying to disarm. So the people telling me, where it was, were not telling me in an accurate manner. And man, I just felt my stomach drop, right? Because that could have been, a lot of times they use the sensors for like motion lights,
sure,
right, to trigger it, so just me walking through could have set that off. And there's some gray hairs here attributed to that moment in particular. Communication is key.
I always think that when we have those little like near-death experiences, not in the traditional way that people think of like a medical near-death, but like, you could have died. I always wonder if like, is it luck? Is it that, somebody up there is kind of, like nudging you 3 inches to the left, right? Or, or do we, the multiverse theory, right? From quantum physics, did you die in that universe, right? And
oh man,
yeah,
that's a trippy thing to think about.
It is, yeah. I had an emergency surgery in 2018 or 19 and literally could have died that night. And sometimes I think about that maybe in another version of the multiverse, I did die, it's just, it's kind of weird stuff to think about. Or maybe, an angel was by my side and said, we got to get this guy to the hospital as quick as possible.
Well, right? was it John Wayne who said, I'd rather be lucky than good?
Yep.
Yeah. I'll, if I've got like 9 lives like a cat, I lost one then.
You definitely used one up.
Got a couple left, hopefully.
Yeah, you definitely used one there for sure. All right, so you've got a really amazing resume: cavalry scout, adventurer, humanitarian, teacher, author. And as I was looking at all this, as I was preparing for the interview, I realized that like all of this stuff that you've done in your adult career, including your education, it's all tied together, and you use it in a way to help others learn how to survive. What started you on that path, and where do you think it's taking you?
I don't know if there was necessarily like a hard start to those things. It kind of seems like some opportunities and experiences were maybe like the tributaries leading to the bigger river, right? I think, as a kid, I kind of grew up in the middle of nowhere, right? So I was always running around in the woods, it was Wisconsin, right? So we like little swamps behind our house, right? I was always running around back there. And I think that kind of just developed like an appreciation or better understanding, for the outdoors, right? I got involved with scouts and like the forestry team and stuff. I've always been kind of drawn to it. But all these little things, like I joined the army, I didn't want a desk job, right? I wasn't like, I want to be a Cav Scout because I think they're awesome. I was like, I don't want a desk job, but I don't want to walk around as much as the infantry do. And like my recruiter's like, cavalry, that's where it's at. So I was like, cool. Like it wasn't like aligned with any particular goal that I had at the time. It was just, when you're young and you're kind of making, snap decisions and not really thinking about long-term, implications. But, as you go along and you get older, you start to think, you don't want to have like the freak out midlife crisis moment, like, oh, what have I done with my life, right? Instead, you can look back at the things that you have done, and start to contemplate on how you can apply those experiences and that knowledge and skills in a meaningful way into the future. And that's, the past 8 or 9 years or so, that's kind of what I've been trying to do.
Mm-hmm. I've thought about that one a lot in the last year as my brand has really started to grow, and how, where this is going, and trying to figure that all out for myself. And one aspect that I didn't bring into it early on, which I don't know why I didn't, was my expertise with mental health, and understanding trauma and fight, flight, freeze, and how people react in emergencies and things like that. And it just wasn't a part of the prepping and survival thing. And then when I did a couple little videos on it, people were asking a lot of questions about it and things like that. And only then did it start to like, oh, there's an untapped niche here that I need to help fill, right? And so if I could go back to like 20-year-old me, it would be, we all have talents, we all have superpowers, right? We all have experiences and stuff. How can you use that to not only help as many people as you can, to reach as many people as you can, but also to do it in a way that helps you to thrive and make some money with it too, right? So those kind of thoughts never occurred to me in my 20s.
Me either.
Yeah, it's one of those things, as you age, you go back and you think, dang, I wish somebody had told me to do that. Like I was, I got started in my mental health career really early, always liked outdoor stuff and survival and things like that. I could have done something with this when YouTube first started in 2007, but I didn't, and here we are. So it's interesting, right? And where does the path take you in 10 years? Do you have any clue?
I don't know. So much can change in that amount of time. It's, it's good to have kind of like a nebulous idea of where you want to be in 10 years. I just kind of, got started in my editorial career here. So I'm just trying to, learn as much as I can about that, and kind of be in the moment about that, and kind of explore where it goes. I don't know. Long term, 10 years.
What about 5?
Well, so like 10 years, it would be really nice to have, like my own like off-grid chunk of land somewhere, right? To really, grow some roots, per se, and have some fun out there. 5 years, I would just want to. I've basically taken over the off-grid brand, right? And I really want to see that grow and establish itself as like a premier, like high-tier, top-shelf place to get that sort of self-reliant information from. It's tough to be in the publishing industry. Oh, yeah. So like, there's challenges, right, that I'm learning about and learning how to overcome. And I'd like to be successful in that and see where it goes.
Yeah, I think especially with, so much content online now, I imagine it's really hard with for magazines and print to stay thriving in this world now.
Yeah, influencers, the influencer market makes that challenging, right? Because anybody
Those damn influencers.
Yeah, anybody with a an internet connection can come out and kind of just establish themselves, which is fine. Like we can do that too, right? Right. But it's different to have a printed piece, right? Because not every influencer has that, right? Like it's kind of like a cool business card almost, like see what we're doing, like here it is on the shelf. That's the tactile feel of reading is still like, it feels good. It's important, at least to like us old people.
Yeah. Well, and Recoil Off-Grid has continued to put out a really high quality product, right? Not just with the articles and the writers, but the quality of the pages, there hasn't been like the reduction that you sometimes see, the photographs, everything. It's like it's stayed top tier, and I think that's part of why it still has a huge appeal to people in prepping and survival and off-grid living.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good on your coffee table. We're also doing things outside of print too, to really get out and reach people. We recently had an event called like Recoil Off Grid Undisclosed, where we invited some VIPs to come out, and they learned from subject matter experts and were given a mission to execute. And it was like a visceral, in your face experience. And that's something we're leaning more into on like the event side of things. So, ultimately my overarching goal at Off Grid, hopefully, is like to give the audience some piece of survival wisdom that will hopefully, maybe someday save a life, right? Absolutely. Like it's like really important stuff that we're putting out there, and something that we take seriously. But like, if you get into the event side of things, now you're getting people like doing it, right? They're not just reading about it, they're experiencing it. So there's some interesting ways to come at it. And I don't know, I'm excited for the future to see where it goes.
I saw the pictures that Nick had put up. That event looked awesome. It looked really cool.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. There was 4-wheelers out there. There were explosions.
Firearms.
There were shenanigans in the night. It was good stuff.
Good. Well, you and I met organically via Dustin from Wazoo Gear. He introduced us over tacos. If you remember that,
I do. Yes.
Okay.
Quesadillas.
That was, by the way, that taco truck. I really hope they're at Georgia Bushcraft again this year. Those were legendary tacos. They were so good.
They were pretty tasty.
And that was at Georgia Bushcraft, of course. So obviously, I'm hearing you say you like going to the meetings and meeting other people in the industry. Do you have a favorite event? I think I know what your answer is to that, but I've not asked you that. And follow-up question is, what advice would you have? There's a lot of people who watch my channel are also, survival, prepping, bushcraft type channels. And I'm always telling them, like, hey, go to Georgia Bushcraft, go to Blade Show. You got to go and like meet the people in the industry. Do you have any thoughts on that? And like, what if somebody's a little bit shy? Like, there are people who can come on here and talk to the camera, but maybe they're a little bit shy about going up and talking to Patrick at an event. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay. So before I address the shyness thing, because I do have a good story about that. I guess event wise, like which one is my favorite? I'll always have a special place in my heart for Georgia Bushcraft, and they put together something called Demo Days, which is just for like industry folks. And they've got like a co-op business summit or something right before the fall gathering. But anyways, like you said, Dustin, right? Back when I was first getting started with Off Grid as a contributor, I reached out to him for some of his gear. And that's when he was like, hey, we'd love to have you come and be at Demo Days. And I was like, what's Demo Days? Who's going to be there? And he was very ambiguous about it. He was like, oh, industry people, it'll be fun. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go and see what happens. I've never been to Georgia before. I don't really, know too many people in this crowd. I'm going to go check it out. And it was great. There was a lot of like-minded business people down there, a couple people from media. And, you see these brands, you see these products, but when you're interacting with the people behind them, it's like a completely different thing. And when you're at a place where you can sit around the campfire and learn about each other and share each other's ideas and like see where things kind of grow, it's like a cauldron, right? And like you're all ingredients in a stew, and you start mixing, you start stewing a little bit, and like you make some really interesting flavors that come out of there. So events like that, they're kind of hard to come by, right? Because you think of big industry events like SHOT Show, or, you know, like it can be kind of impersonal sometimes, right? Because you're kind of like racing from booth
So
to booth.
big, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But if you can find events that are kind of low key, right, a little more laid back, I think a lot more can come out of that. So those are types of events that I would suggest looking into if that's where you're trying to network.
Yeah, that's great advice. I love that.
Shyness,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Yeah. I am pretty antisocial.
Okay.
I have an introverted personality, believe it or not. You know, coming to even coming, like, I have a podcast, right? Even coming on the podcast, like I can feel like, you know, like my stomach kind of clench up, and I'm like, oh man, I'm going to be in front of people. I'm going to be talking to people, right? It's kind of always something that it's just affected me, right? Even as a kid, you know, whenever you had to like get up in class and talk, or getting older and you're going to like a public speaking class, or, you know, whatever you have to do, right? Exposure therapy, man. That's like the only way to get over that, right? And to realize, okay, like, even though you feel that way, it's really not gonna be so bad. And so I was on my 3rd deployment when I was voluntold by the Department of the Army to be a recruiter. Okay, they're like, Sergeant Diedrich, you're a recruiter, you can't say anything about it, you got to go do that. And for an introvert, that is like the worst thing, right? Because now you got to talk to high school auditoriums full of high schoolers and their parents. And you got to go to strangers' houses, you know, and talk to them. Like, you got to do all this stuff, public relations. Right. It's overwhelming. So I learned a trick, right?
Okay.
You know that like fearful anxiety that like builds up.
Oh yeah.
When you start feeling that, just lie to yourself and say, okay, I'm really excited to do this, right?
Okay.
You have to turn anxiety into excitement, because they're the same thing.
Okay.
Excitement's the same thing. When you're excited for something, you get tense in your stomach. You're like, this is going to be exciting, right? It's the same thing. It's just, you just have to, like, even if you have to lie to yourself a little bit, you know, like, okay, I'm really, like, if you go on a first date, right? Oh man, I'm really nervous. I don't know, I want to mess up. Just start lying to yourself. I'm really excited to see this person, right? And it kind of changes, you know, what's happening in your brain, and it makes it like easier to get it into. Like, if you view yourself as excited versus anxious, that really helps. So if you want to network and you want to go to events and meet people in the industry, and like maybe you want to go to a like a prepping event, like you know, like Mountain Readiness, or you know, Georgia Bushcraft, or CanCon, or whatever, right? And you think the crowds are going to be overwhelming, just get excited about it. And it kind of changes what's going on in your head.
Yeah, I love that. And that definitely ties into everything I know from psychology. You know, it makes perfect sense. I usually can do pretty good meeting people. Occasionally, if I think too much, I'll start fumbling. And the most recent time that happened was Blade Show, not this year, the year before. Melissa Backwoods was there, and I really wanted to meet her. For those who watch Naked and Afraid, that's where she really first made it, but she's huge on social media now. She's got tons and tons of followers, and does amazing knife reviews.
And she's genuinely a great person.
Well, that's where I was going with this. And and I'm not trying to be chauvinistic. I know she's got a boyfriend, I'm married, that kind of thing, but she's very beautiful too. She's a beautiful woman. And like, me waiting in line to go meet her, I was like, started like getting in my head, like, what do I say? Oh no, and then I got to meet her, and I'm like, she was so kind. She was like, it's okay, take your time.
Nice.
And I was like, I just really happy to meet you. Can I get a selfie with you? And she's like, of course. And that's like the last time that has happened to me. But yeah, when you go to these events, like Such was at Georgia Bushcraft last year. He's huge. Craig Cottle was at last year. And I mean, he's got an immense following. So like, yeah, you're going to meet some famous people, but everyone that I've ever met, Melissa, Such, Craig, when you go up and shake their hand, they're super down to earth and friendly, and they make you feel like you're welcome. So try not to let it get into your head too much is all I could say.
And that's one of my favorite things about this community in general is everyone they just seem very kind and compassionate. And I mean, they don't look at like they're not looking down their nose at you or judging you, right? It's like everybody here. Yeah, no, like everybody's trying to just get everybody you know, whatever your goals are, right? They're willing to help pretty much in any way you can think of. And it's kind of refreshing to be around those types of people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's get into this adventure here. So tell me about how did you get linked into this Amazon adventure that you just got back from? Did you travel with anybody that I might know? And were you nervous about it? What were you nervous about before you did this?
So I learned about this at demo days, Georgia Bushcraft, like one of the first ones I went to. So there I was sitting around a campfire with Joe Flowers from Bushcraft Global.
Okay, I thought he was involved with this. Okay.
Larry Roberts, he was on alone. Carly Fairchild. We're all in the same place, and it, like, you know, it's dark. The sparks are flying off the campfire, right? And you know, Larry Roberts, he's got like, here's some Mongolian snuff that I had when I was, you know, on my trip in Mongolia. And Joe Flowers is like, oh, here's some Colombian cigars from my trip in the Amazon. Like, and when like that's your first kind of foray into that crowd, you're like, holy smokes, like where am I? What's happening, right?
Yeah.
Well, Joe starts talking about his Amazon trips, and I mean, this had to have been like 3 or 4 years ago when it first went on my radar. And man, it just sounded like an epic time. Like he's like, I bring groups down there, and we live with the indigenous tribes, and we learn how to live in the jungle. And I was like, man, that sounds awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you know, it's ever since that point, it was like on my like wish list, my bucket list of things to do. This year was the first year that I could swing it. So that's how I got down there. I knew it existed through him. Like I learned about it through Georgia Bushcraft, and things just kind of snowballed from there. This year, Joe was in El Salvador, so his right-hand man, Peter Magnan, he led our expedition. Right now, Peter, he's a prior service Air Force guy. He has like a SEER background. And he's been down there with Joe like dozens of times. So this was like, you know, his time to go down there and lead the group. And with us, we had Jamie Boggs from Burning River Bushcraft. He does a lot of work with Grim Workshop, does stuff with them. And Jamie Dakota from Howell Bushcraft. He came all the way from the UK to go there. And then we had some other great folks in the group too, you know, who don't have survival schools or things like that. They're just down there having a good time, but they were all awesome.
That's great.
And then so we go down there, and we get to you have to fly into Bogota, right? And so you asked, like, was there anything I was nervous about? Well, there's like a website that you can go to that will like if you tell them where you're going, it's a government travel website, right? You tell them where you're going, how long you're going to be there, and they'll send you notifications if things are happening, right? Yep. So like, let's say you wanted to go to Russia because you like their fuzzy hats, right? And you're like, I'm going to Russia for whenever, right? They would email you, be like, hey, the government's arresting American citizens, maybe don't go there, right? It tells you stuff like that.
Don't bring your vape pen, basically.
Yeah. So I did the same thing, but for Colombia. So the weeks leading up to it, right? Because there's, you know, Colombia just got done, you know, they had just gone through like a 50-year civil war, right? And when Venezuela's economy collapsed, there was, you know, just hundreds of thousands of refugees flooding into Colombia, right? So there's some dangerous stuff down there. Like people still they still make things they shouldn't make, in the jungle, and they still, kidnap people to make stuff happen, right? Like it's that stuff still exists down there.
Sure.
And that's those were the notifications I was getting, like, hey, there's an increased risk of kidnapping, like maybe you should rethink your travel plans. And I'm like, man, what am I getting myself into, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know, I was like, I'm not, what, screw it, I'm just gonna go down there and let the chips fall where they may. And I'm glad I did, because from Bogota, where we first flew into, we went to a town called Leticia, and that town is completely landlocked, and you can only get there by airplane or by taking a boat down the river. And the cool thing about Leticia is that's where the Colombian military trains their special forces, right? So it's got like this jungle special forces warfare center in there, right? So not only is it completely landlocked in the middle of the jungle, but they've got like a high military presence there. So it's like one of the safest places you could possibly go in the jungle. Like nobody's going down there to like make illegal substances, because the military is going to roll them up pretty quick, right? So I got down there, learned all that, and I felt comfortable the whole time.
Gotcha. Good deal. I got to ask about these palmetto grubs that I'm seeing online. What is this thing? These palm grubs?
So I have seen videos, right, of Joe Flowers eating palm grubs, right? Mm-hmm. So I kind of figured that would be something that happens, but I didn't realize just how prevalent they are in that region, right? When we got to Leticia and we had to go to the market the day before we went to the jungle, we had to go machete shopping, which is cool. That's a cool thing to say. I got to go shopping for machetes, right? Like that's just a fun thing to say. So we went into town, we got some machetes and some fishing spears and stuff. And one of the street vendors had like a box of these. I mean, if you've never seen a palm grub before, they're like, if you think about like the size of your thumb, I'm trying to like hold against my forehead for size comparison.
Yeah,
like
I'm trying to find a picture to show them.
They're big, all right? Yeah. These are big things, and they I can only describe it as grotesque undulating. They wriggle and they move like, and you're like, oh my God, that's so gross. But they sell them on the street, right? And it's like a delicacy almost. In one of the restaurants that we went to, instead of like bringing around tortilla chips and salsa, right? Mm-hmm. They had like fish bowls full of these palm grubs, right? And you could just grab them and snack on them. But the first time I tried it, we were in the jungle and we were with our indigenous guides. And we went to a place where they do like slash and burn forestry, right? They kind of like knock down an area, and then as the trees are coming back up, they'll grow their vegetation underneath to kind of protect it from the sun, and they'll just like rotate, through an area of land as it goes, because everything grows so. There they are.
That's them.
Yeah. Too bad you can't get one of them moving around, because it's something. But so we went to a place where they had done some cutting of trees, right? And they cut open a log with an axe, and bam, sure enough, there's a pile of living palm grubs in there. We all grabbed one. Some people, I had to try it, so I did. Some people didn't, but the one of the really cool things about this trip is like nothing's mandatory. Like nobody makes you feel nobody makes you feel like, oh, you're a wuss for not doing it. Or like it's kind of like choose your own level of adventure sort of thing, right? If you want to do it, great. If you don't, nobody's going to judge you. But I was like, man, I got it. I'm never going to be here again. Who knows when the next time is going to be. Let me try it. So I did. And I'm happy to report that those giant, gross-looking palm bugs, they actually have like a sweet almondy type of flavor. So it's like they've got like these hard, chunky heads, right, that they use to chew through the bark. Some people they'll bite the head and spit it out, right, and just eat the body. I did it because I don't like being wasteful, right? So if you bite down on the head with your molar first and then just chew up the rest after that, like as long as your first bite kind of takes care of the head,
Right.
you're good to go. And then I learned that you can prepare them in other ways. So we got invited to the tribal land that we were on. They kind of have like a little village where they've got like a giant palm thatched hut, right, that everybody kind of meets and they conduct business and things like that. They invited us to one of those. It's called a maloka, and they had prepared a lunch for us, and it was they used like a yucca powder, right, and kind of turned it into like a pizza crust almost, and that was kind of like used as bread. And then the stew we had with it was piranha stew, and they had taken like a bunch of those palm grubs and grilled them, and the grilled palm grubs were really good too. So
Okay.
if you don't like the idea of just grabbing one out of the tree and munching
The
on it,
cooked ones would be more tolerable. Yeah.
you can grill them, yeah. And it's funny, I noticed on the way out as I was leaving the airport, one of the restaurants in the Latissa airport was selling like grilled palm grub kebabs almost. They had them on skewers. So
Okay.
it's
Is this like a staple for them? Like is that like cow and chicken here in the United States is the staple food, right? Like so many meals are built around cow and chicken.
to be honest, I don't know if meals are built around them. I just know that it is a common option to
Okay.
have around there. It's definitely available. It's widely available. Yep. I didn't notice any of that in Bogota,
Okay.
but in Leticia, there was like a bunch of it everywhere.
Interesting. All right. Good for you for trying it. I think that's awesome. I maybe would have considered cooked. I don't know
Okay.
that I don't know that I could have done the raw. I don't know that I could have done that. I mean,
Just
survival, yeah, of course. People would be amazed what they can do when they're starving to death and what they would eat when they're starving to death. But when you're not starving to death, you can be a little fussy and picky about it.
well, we tried a lot of different stuff while we were down there. Peter, he speared a stingray in the river.
Mhm.
So we had stingray for dinner once, and that, I mean, that tastes like tender, salty pulled pork. It was so good.
Okay.
One of our indigenous guides, he harvested a caiman, which is like a black alligator that
I think I've got the picture of that. Let's see. Is it that thing
yeah.
there? Yeah.
Yep. So we had that for breakfast one morning. So like, the people who live down there, they can make anything out of anything they catch out of the jungle, right? There's like so much food. Like one of our guides was telling us, hey, that caterpillar right there, that's really good, but you have to cook it first. Like, like they were telling us like all these different things. Like you can make so much out of what you find down there. So much available. And it got to a point where it wasn't about daring yourself to try these new things, and it was more about trusting your indigenous guides who are sharing their life with you, right? It kind of like turned more into a trust thing, and it was such a profound experience for me. Honestly, it was a really amazing event. And
Love that. How long were you there?
it was there for 10 days. 10 days plus like 2 travel each way in and out of Bogota. And we spent about 7 or 8 days like deep in the jungle.
Yeah. What a cool adventure, man. I'm glad you got to do that.
I highly recommend, if anybody has ever thought about doing something like that, they do it sooner than later. One of our guides, his name's Quinny. He's a Métis tribal elder. And one night he was talking to us about, he experienced meeting people from the outside for the first time. Like they had been uncontacted, and he was old enough to remember, meeting, I think it was Portuguese who first stumbled across them, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and he was saying like his grandfather didn't trust them, and his grandfather was saying don't go near them. We don't know what they're about, we don't know who they are. But Quinny was a young boy at the time, and he kind of like walked up across the river from where they were at, and they didn't do anything bad. They kind of laid down some gifts, some tools like axes and other things, right? And then kind of walked away as like an offering, like a peace offering. And Quinny then at the time was like, these guys aren't here to hurt us, they're here to get to know us. And that type of story was just fascinating, right? That there's people who still alive today who have never been. I mean, it's like going to like a history class, and you're learning about your prehistoric ancestors, but they're like right there, right?
Yeah.
The sad thing is, I say sad, but it's just kind of the way the world works, right? Is they're getting, with the way global trade is and the way travel is with airplanes and stuff, they're getting Starlink now. They have cell phones now, right? It's trickling into the jungle. It's inexorable. There's no stopping it. It's just going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And so like their younger
changes everything. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and their younger generations, they're seeing what the rest of the world is like. They want to move to the big city. They want to live the fast-paced modern life, right? So this very traditional way of living is fading.
It's dying, yeah.
And so that's why I say, like, if you've ever thought about doing something like that, do it sooner than later. Get a hold of Bushcraft Global, get on a trip down there. You won't regret it. It's fantastic. There's another organization called the Tanamboka Nature Reserve, and they work hand in hand with Bushcraft Global. So like when you get down there, you acclimate for about a day or two at the Tanamboka Nature Reserve. And that reserve has all the indigenous connections. They kind of line up, whose tribal land you're going to be living on, and, who's going to be your guides. And they make all that happen. And they're fantastic people as well. It was a really great, they pulled out all the stops. It was so good. At the very end, it was the night before we were all going to fly out, that Tanamboka Nature Reserve. Man, they put together like a traditional Colombian barbecue, and they had dancing, and it was like, it was like the celebration at the end. It was just such a great time.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. I saw your question. I think that's a great question. I'm gonna hit that in just a second. Do you know about the cargo cults? Have you ever read about the cargo cults?
No.
So during World War II, in the Southeast Pacific, there's tons and tons of islands out there, right? And a lot of them are, not really, they're not occupied by modern civilization. So there's tribes that live on some of these islands and whatnot. And during World War II, there was a lot of fighting for territory out there for, launching points and things like that. And so a couple of these islands, the United States landed on and built airstrips so they could, land, work on a plane, refuel, that kind of thing, and then launch back off. And then we left some stuff there and never went back. And so periodically they'll fly something over there and just kind of see what's going on. And I think a few people have tried to visit these areas, and the stuff that we left behind, like there's a plane, there's some runways that are still they're dilapidated, but they're still there. They do rituals where they're like worshiping the plane. And because they associated, as several generations has passed now, they associated the plane with this thing that came out of the sky that brought them gifts. It's interesting. So you check that out later on. It's a cool little rabbit hole to go down. They're called cargo cults.
Interesting.
Yep.
When we were down there, we learned that there was probably about 12 tribes that have been contacted have made contact with the outside world. There's estimated to be about 26 that haven't. So there's like still, a ton of, people living in the jungle that have never talk to the outside world. I wonder, it makes me wonder if stuff like that's happening as like technology trickles into the.
Yeah, it will be less and less over time. And there's a danger to it, right? Because they don't have the immunities, right? Like, so just even shaking hands or something like that could potentially be dangerous to somebody who's never been exposed to Western immunities, right?
One of our guides, their tribe was 1,500 plus at some point, and after making first contact, it dipped all the way down to like 15 or 18
from disease and stuff.
Yeah. It's, it's a tough thing. I saw somebody compliment my background. They said, "Hey, nice background, Chuck Norris." I kind of put that name in jokingly, but when I was down there, they like, I don't know if they couldn't say my name or they didn't want to say my name or whatever. They just started calling me Chuck Norris. Right. So now I'm just kind of like using that because, like, hey, like that's a badass nickname to have, right?
Yeah.
Chuck Norris.
Yeah. Just don't ever run across Chuck. He might have something to say about it.
Right. I think he'd understand, like it was great. They're like, "Oh, amigo Chuck Norris," right? That's what they just refer to me as, Chuck Norris. So I was like, I'm just owning it now.
That's great. I love it. So Lee, Cold War Prepper, had a great question here. I'm going to scroll back up because I actually was thinking this too. So how do they maintain hygiene if they don't have, the ones that don't necessarily go into the city to get things like soap and stuff like that? How do they maintain hygiene?
That's a great question. And we learned that as well. One of the first things, so it's so humid down there, right? Your sweat doesn't evaporate. Like you just kind of stay wet. And at the end of the day, you kind of like, you peel out of your sweaty clothes. If you don't go to like the river and rinse it out good, or, whatever, you just hang it up. There's these, they're like honeybees, or like rainforest honeybees, and they love the sodium for some reason. Okay. So you'll hang up your sweaty clothes and you'll come back and it'll just be swarming with bees. They're not, aggressive at all. Like you can kind of just shoo them away. They don't really mind, but it almost became a litmus test to see if you had rinsed your clothes off enough, right? Because if you did a good job, no bees, right?
Okay.
But if there was a little bit of sweat, they came back. Now, on a personal note, right? Because you just sweat all day. Yeah. The indigenous, they'll wash themselves like 4 or 5 times a day. Like it's hot, it's sweaty. They'll just go to the river and wash off, and they stay like. I never once noticed, like a bad peculiar odor off of anybody, right? Everybody seemed really clean. Mm-hmm. And they do get soap from the cities, right? It does trickle in. Mm-hmm. There's a plant that they can use that has the same soapy, sudsy effect, right?
Oh, cool.
They can't get commercial soap. Like commercial soap's easier, right? But if not, I mean, the jungle has everything. It's your grocery store, it's your hardware store, it's your pharmacy, and they know how to use it in all of those capacities.
That's really cool. Do you remember the name of the plant?
I do not. No,
that's okay. It's all right.
No, we used one called a chote. I know it has different names, but it was like a seed pod, and you cracked it open, and it has these little red seeds, and you can kind of mush it into like a paste. And that was the red that I had all over my face, right? And they use it as that one right there. So Quinny, the guy who's giving me a tattoo right there, mm-hmm. On the first day, he just walked up and he had that stuff, the achote all over his hands, and he like smeared it on everybody's face. And they use that. It's like a sunscreen. It kind of has like an antiseptic quality. Like if you have a cut or whatever, they'll put it on your wound or wherever you might be cut. They use it on like insect bites and things like that. So that was a medicinal herb that we used a lot while we were down there.
So it's kind of a super plant for them, basically.
Oh, for sure, it's very useful. Yep.
The native social credit scores, not the bees, from it's that movie with Nicolas Cage. You know what I'm talking about?
I think so. Yeah.
Where the cult basically executes him with bees.
Yeah. No, the bees down there were friendly. They weren't.
They were kind bees, not like the murder hornets.
Exactly. Yep. They were gentle.
Let's see. You've answered some of the questions. Is there anything you would have done differently having done this now, is there anything that you would have brought with you or done to prepare before you go?
Before I went, I attempted to acclimate. You know, I don't have a sauna, right, or access to a sauna, which I wish I would have been able to spend some time in there. But what I did was I put on, you know, I packed everything I was going to pack, added some extra weight to it, and I put it. We've got like this like under the desk treadmill type of thing. And I stuck that in my garage where there's no climate control or anything, just heats up really hot. And I would, like every day for a few weeks, I would go out there and hike with all my gear on that treadmill in the garage just to like be hot and wear the gear and all that stuff. I'm glad I did. I wish I would have maybe found a place that had a sauna just to, because like I'm in California right now. It's really dry, right? I wish I would have found a way to get used to the humidity. I tried.
Come to Charleston, South Carolina, okay, in the summertime, and I'll meet up with you. We can go camping or something.
I've been to Fort Jackson in the summertime, and I'll pass. No, I tried turning on the shower, right, and making it steamy and being in there, and you know, I'm sure that helped. But if I were to go back, other than trying to acclimate a little bit more, I would have brought less.
Okay.
I would have brought a lot less.
Okay.
I think I overpacked to go into the jungle because, you know, I had like hiking boots and I had like different pants and stuff like that. At the end of the trip, like, you know, we were almost as naked as our indigenous friends, and you know, I wasn't wearing shoes or boots anymore. I was wearing like Keen sandals, right? It was I didn't know, right? My boots actually grew mold, like fuzzy mold. You know, I took them off one day, the bees had their way with them, and the next thing I look and there was like fuzzy mold growing on them.
I mean, that was like for Vietnam, right? The soldiers had a lot of foot issues, right? With the jungle.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised. I mean, I took my boots off. I'm a profuse sweater anyways. I took my boots off at the end of one of our hikes and I dumped it out. I mean, it was like soup coming out of the boot. Like that's how much soggy sweat was in there. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So, you know, I put on the sandals, I got the airflow going, right? And that was way better. That was way better. So I would have brought way less, carried a lot less.
It makes sense what you're saying, right? Like if you're going on this expedition and you're going to be interacting with people who live there, they already have everything you're going to need. They already know, you know, how to provide something that you might need. That makes sense. And you know, from an American mindset, of course, my thought when I was getting ready for this interview was like, dang, I wonder what I would have packed, right? Like thinking about this giant bag full of all this gear and stuff, but they don't live like that.
Well, we had a camp cook. He was Colombian. His name was Juan, and he had you know, some like buckets of like camp food, you know, that he was going to put together for us. And he was just carrying them by hand. And then one of our indigenous guides, Alberto, he cut down a couple. We took a break, and during the break, he cut a few palm leaves, weaved it into a pack.
I think I saw those pictures. Yeah.
He used like strips of vine for the straps and put like, I mean, I don't know if they were like 2.5 gallon buckets, right? He stacked them on top in the pack, flung it over his shoulders, and that pack held up the whole time. I mean, it had to have been, you know, close to 40 pounds of food.
Wow.
And you know, we were hiking, walking over logs across rivers and stuff like that, and that it never broke down. He walked out with it at the end. Like it was very durable and very strong, and just you know, it cost nothing. He just put it together, and you know, it did the trick, and you know, it just kind of put everybody else who was carrying their you know, their 80-pound gear to shame.
I was trying to find it, but because I saw you posted the picture somewhere, but I found this one here where you guys were. Can you talk about what's going on in this?
Yeah, that's like a strip of razor grass. I don't know the indigenous term for it, but it's so sharp you can shave with it. That's what they do with it. They cut the umbilical cords of babies with it. Like that's how sharp it is. It's just growing there. You just peeled it off, and all of a sudden you can give yourself a shave. Like everything's there. Like if you know where to look and how to use it.
It's really cool. I can't. Oh, is this it? Maybe this is the one. I think I think I found it. Hang on one second. Is that the video?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So let's check this out for a second, folks. Yeah. So there he's weaving the backpack. That's so cool.
And I mean, I'm telling you, like he did this in a matter of minutes. Like our break here, this is when we were first walking in. It wasn't more than like, it was 10 minutes tops, and he had put that all together. They
cool.
machetes like the primary tool for everything down there. It's just amazing what they can do.
Now, was the buckets just to shape it, or do the buckets stay inside of it?
The buckets was those buckets, they were carrying some food in with us.
Okay.
So that was our like food for the week, right?
Gotcha.
And he was like, instead of carrying this by hand, like let's make a pack. And he just whipped that together so quick. Very cool, very knowledgeable. That same guy, he taught us, or he instructed us on how to put together his tribe's the Yukuna. He made a Yukuna style blowgun. I've got one back here. Hold on.
And folks, I see your questions. I'm going to get to those last few questions. We're getting close to wrapping up. Thank you for throwing those up there.
So I don't know how well everybody can see this, but yeah,
that is cool.
The blowgun.
Was that your carry-on coming back?
I wish I had. I would have put some kids to sleep. But no, we went and we hunted with them. They're whisper silent. It was cool. So much fun. Yeah, it was so much fun.
Man, you learned a ton. That's really amazing. Let's see. I did have a couple quick questions here, and we'll start to wind this down. Rural 2 I see asked, was there a trade and barter system down there? How did that work?
In town, I mean, everything was pesos, and even the indigenous were dealing with pesos.
They use money. Okay.
Yeah. But no, like I don't know if I'd call it trade and barter. I mean, if you liked someone, or they like you could give a gift, and if somebody did something for you in return, nice. I didn't really notice like an expectation of like, hey, I did this for you, now like do something back for me. Okay. They did, when we first got there, to help raise money in pesos for their village, they brought a bunch of different crafts and things like that to sell, right? And those were things that you could buy and kind of help their village out, right? That's all like handmade stuff. But we didn't really use like to exist. We didn't use a trade and barter system down there. We did use pesos.
Tammy wanted to know, did you boil the water you drank while you were there, or did you use, I guess the other way would be like a purifying system like the grill or water purification? How did you guys handle the water situation?
Yeah, we had I'm trying to think of the name of the company. It's eluding me. It was a drip filter system, Sawyer. So we had some hanging drip systems. We just try to find like the cleanest spot in the river, and then let it drip into the bucket, and then from there we would fill our grails with it. Okay. Right. So then we use a grail and filter like a second time.
Okay. Do the indigenous people drink like straight from the river, or are they, because their gut bacteria would be different, right?
I only saw them drink from what we filtered with the Sawyers.
Okay, so they were drinking the same water. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, before I left, there's if you don't know, there's travel clinics You know, in a lot of big towns or bigger towns, you can go to a travel clinic and say, hey, I'm going to this country. Like, what do you recommend I get down there? Right. And they'll be like, oh, you're going here, you need yellow fever, you need this, that, and the other thing. Right. So I did go to one of those. You know, I had a lot of the stuff that they were recommending just because of my time in the military. But if you go to those, like I didn't have like a rabies vaccine, right? And they're like, well, you know, there's stray dogs running around there. There's bats flying around. Like, we recommend, you know, you get that as well, right? So besides having like a Grail or something to filter water, just being up to date on, you know, the vaccines that will prevent, you know, certain diseases that we don't commonly encounter, you know, in the West, is a really good idea.
Still, we remind people frequently on this channel that unsafe drinking water is still the biggest killer in the world. More than war, gun violence, anything else you can think of, unsafe drinking water is the biggest killer in the world.
You know what's funny? So I go down there and, you know, we're drinking from the river, we're eating palm grubs, we're eating stingrays, right? Didn't have any issues. Like my gut biome was happy. You know, I didn't have like any of the travelers runs or anything like that. I get back, and about a day and a half after I get back, I had to jump into that undisclosed event. So I was traveling again. And one of the first places we stopped for food was a diner in Pennsylvania. My gut was thrashed. Like, that diner thrashed my gut. I never felt like sicker than after eating diner food. Yeah, it was like, you know, when you eat free range, you know, you do a little better.
Something in the kitchen was not
you go to the
handled well.
It was bad, man. Yeah.
My wife is a chef, you know that, right? And so she had to do culinary school and all that stuff, and she cringes, and sometimes she'll start to tell me a story, and I'll be like, please don't, because I won't go out to eat if you start telling me stories, you know.
Yeah. That what's that show with Gordon Ramsay?
Oh, when he goes into the restaurants,
like kitchen nightmares or kitchen rescue or something. You watch that and you never want to eat out again, just because you're like,
if people knew. And I worked in a restaurant, which I will not name, but I think everybody should work in food service at some point in their life to kind of understand that whole culture and everything. But when you have a big restaurant with a lot of food around, you're going to attract pests. And it's a constant battle. You know, the good restaurants will try to stay ahead of that battle, but it's going to be a constant battle of critters are going to try to get to the food.
Yeah, well, look at the critters you attract in your own house, and that's not a restaurant, right?
Right.
You know, 100x that problem with all the food and everywhere. Like, if you're not diligent about it, there's going to be some issues.
Do you live in the city?
Not anymore.
But you have.
A few years ago, we moved from Upper Michigan to San Jose.
Okay, so you know what a city rat looks like?
Yeah, we lived in San Jose for a few years. We just recently moved to a place a little bit quieter. But there's
they're the size.
There's a lot of critters in the city.
Yeah, they're the size of cats. People don't. If you live in the country, you're probably lucky and you've never seen that. But city rats are the size of cats, and there's a good reason. They're well fed.
Yeah, they are. Yep.
All right, let's see. Did you bring any, as we're talking about like food hygiene, rats, and was there any habits this is from Bacon, any habits that you took back from the Amazon to your own home? Lifestyle stuff.
So when I first came back, I noticed I was talking a lot quieter. In the jungle, sound travels really far. And so like even like the indigenous, especially, they like, even the way they talk normally is just like really low, right? And you know, when I came back, I had kind of adapted to that. So, you know, even my partner at the time was like, why are you whispering? I was like, no, I'm just talking, right? And it was a change I didn't notice that happened. The other thing that I noticed, and this is, I'm writing an article about this that's going to be in the October issue of Off Grid. But one of the things I talk about out there is, you know, I think like survival mindset around here is based on goals. You know, like you know, I've got to make a shelter, I've got to make a fire, I've got to make water. And we kind of like, you know, we move to that as quick as we can to just like get it done. But out there, if you move too fast, right, something potentially lethal could happen. Like you could step on a stingray. You could get bit by a wandering spider. You could walk into the thorns of a black palm, right? If you don't just slow down, take your time and do things deliberately, and you know, try to move with the natural rhythm of the jungle rather than trying to like force a goal on it. And I like that mentality. I know we talk about, you know, in search and rescue, you know, there's an acronym called STOP, right? You know, you stop, think, observe, plan, right? Like they kind of like live that as their baseline down there. They just kind of like, you know, they move and they're very observant. They see and patterns in ways that we can't even possibly comprehend, right? Because they've been living down there for so long. So they can move through it a little bit quicker, but like even then, like they kind of just, they take their time, they observe everything around them, they take it all in, then they make a plan. And that's something that I really appreciated, and I want to practice more, you know, just in everything. You can apply that to any aspect of life, you know, your career, your relationships, your education, you know, observe what's going on, recognize the patterns, think of the best way to handle a situation. Just that sort of mentality is really, really important to practice, I think.
I love that wisdom. And Bacon, thank you for asking that. We wouldn't have gotten that answer if you hadn't asked that question. I love that. We all could benefit from slowing down a little bit and thinking through our steps a little bit more.
Yeah. In the jungle, a knee-jerk reaction could be fatal.
Yeah. So you mentioned that we'll get a little bit more of the story here with the October recoil off grid.
Yep, I'm gonna be writing about my experience there, and the undisclosed event that we had going on, and
Awesome.
how both of those things kind of shook out. I'm really excited about the Amazon article, especially. I can't even. I'm the one writing it, and when I read through it, I get misty eyed. Like that's how profound of an event that was.
I can't wait to hear more about it, man. I'm super excited, and I thank you for giving. Were we the first group to get to interview you after you got back? Oh man, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. I feel like we're kind of exclusive now. Prepping with Sarge is coming of age.
You are. You heard it. You heard it here first.
I love it. I had one more question for you, if you got time for it.
Yeah. Let's do it.
So you know, I do trauma therapy with first responders, and I do trauma therapy with some combat veterans, and we do this thing called EMDR in there, where we it's kind of hard to describe to people, but you do sort of enter into an altered state of consciousness, and not quite like hypnosis. You're a little bit more conscious than hypnosis, but it feels kind of like dreamlike in a way, and you can see your memories with a lot more clarity. Have you ever had this done, EMDR?
I first heard it from you, actually.
Okay.
I've never had it done.
Okay. So I'm not going to do that with you right now, but there's a technique that we do in there where I can take a patient and I can create this scene where they can talk to a past version of themselves, right? Like childhood, teenagehood, whatever. And we can create, because we can open up that memory and look at it with vivid detail. And then I can say, okay, now you, as your adult self in your police uniform or your paramedic uniform, I want you to go back and talk to 14-year-old you in that scene. And what would you say to them? And I create that for them. And it's a very therapeutic thing, right? That it's usually, that's when I start getting the tears from like my hardened veterans and, you know, special operators and all this stuff. Like they'll start crying, because like it's a very powerful experience to be able to do that. If you could go back and talk to a younger version of yourself at any period, it could be 5-year-old self, it could be 20-year-old self, whatever, but a younger version of yourself, is there a piece of one little sentence that you would say to that earlier version of yourself, that you, if you could share it with them, what would it be?
I wish I could go back and tell my younger self that just because you don't understand something that's being taught to you, like in school, right? Because that's something I really struggled with when I was younger. Because you don't understand it right now doesn't mean that you're dumb or you'll never understand it.
I love that.
Right? It just means that you haven't learned the right way to learn. Like, I have spent some time in academia, and I've learned that some of the people who aspire to be teachers in elementary school or even preschool are grossly underqualified as an adult. They don't have the emotional intelligence. They don't have the patience to recognize that everybody learns at different rates.
Yep.
Right? And just the tiniest bit of encouragement could have made like such a big difference, in
100%.
so many people's lives. I wish I could go back and give my younger self like, hey, like you're not dumb. Keep trying to learn. You'll figure it out, or you'll find the teacher who actually who is respectable and can like actually teach you. Right? Don't give up.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I can absolutely relate to everything you just said. Having gone to school in a private Catholic school, which I love the experiences that I had and what it did for my life. But there was definitely a few teachers along the way who were downright cruel. They shouldn't have been teaching. They were cruel. And I don't know that they realized they were cruel. I think they thought they were being helpful and trying to shape us. But it did more harm than good. I'll say that.
Yeah. That feeling stupid is a hard thing to overcome.
Yeah.
As a kid, for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with me. I love that was your answer. That's fantastic.
No problem. Really appreciate the question.
Yeah. I put your links in the description here. So you gave a couple different places. Obviously I want everybody to check out the October issue of Recoil Off Grid when that comes out on your newsstands. And anything else big coming up that they should be on the lookout for you?
So we have an event twice a year called CanCon. The next one is going to be sadly it's booked on the same weekend as Georgia Bushcraft, but It is the world's largest suppressed range day. You buy a ticket, you can shoot all day. Everything has a silencer on it. I'm going to have off-grid base camp there, where you can learn some awesome skills from some awesome people. There's going to be some good gear vendors. It's going to be a good time. That's in South Carolina.
My home state.
I think you should check out every issue of Off Grid, but I could be biased, right? Yeah. Offgridweb.com is our website. All our social media stuff is at Recoil Off Grid. And I'm saying it here for the first time for anyone. We've got a book in the works.
I was hoping you were going to say that. All right.
We've got a book in the works. It's scheduled right now for 2026, and I can't say anything more than that. But
all right, cool. We will keep our eyes open.
It's going to be super cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was going to ask you that question, but had you had anything in the works? So thank you so much for sharing that with us. We're definitely going to keep our eyes open for that.
Awesome. Yeah. If you come to CanCon, stop by and find me, say hi, tell me where you heard about me, if it was on Prepping with Sarge or whatever, or if you go to Georgia Bushcraft for one day and CanCon for the other. I encourage that too. So
yeah, and CanCon, unfortunately, it's in South Carolina, which is my state, but I got to go to Georgia Bushcraft. I wish there was a way to duplicate myself and be at both.
We're working on that. We're trying to deconflict that, because this is kind of the second year that's happened. So hopefully we can avoid that in the future.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that'd be great if it can happen. I mean, I know stuff happens. There's always things going on everywhere, and you can't always make it work perfectly, right?
That's for sure. We've got CanCon in April in Arizona, but it's in the other side of the country. But
that's where my brother lives. Is it near Phoenix?
It is. It's an hour outside of Phoenix.
Okay, so my brother's in Phoenix. Maybe I could talk him into doing that with me. That'd be cool.
I'll get you tickets.
I love it. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much in chat for awesome questions. Great discussion. And Patrick, thank you. I really appreciate you. It's been a pleasure to get to know you and become friends, and all the help you've given me along my path as well. I truly appreciate that. And that you came here and shared the story with us here first before it went anywhere else. That really is special for me. I thank you a lot for that.
Right back at you. Thank you for having me, man.
Anytime. You are always welcome here. I know you're super busy, but you drop a dime and say, hey, I'm free. I will get you on.
Will do.
Okay. All right, everybody. Have a great night. Patrick, if you want to hang out for just 1 second here.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much. Have a good weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Spend time with your family. If you can, get outside, do something fun and adventurous, and be kind to everybody out there in your path. Keep planting your seeds. Keep stacking your silver. This is Patrick and Sarge. Good night, everybody.